So we had someone ask about how our dry lots held up over the winter. So this is our main dry lot that we're going to say is the closest to being finished because it's got the crusher dust down on top. And as you can see, it looks pretty darn good. We hand mucked it all winter, so 2 to 3 times a day. We would take out all of the manure. And this is kind of what we were left with. We're really happy with it. The gravel held up really good. We put a lot of effort into the dry lot to make sure that it would stay dry. We've had a ton of rain this past week. We had like 48 millimeters on Saturday, and this is what we look like on Wednesday. And she is good and dry. The only spot that's a little bit wet is around the feeder here. And that's just where the horses spend a lot of their time. And they love to pee and poo there. So we're gonna get more mats. So we've only got 4 mats here in the front, but I do want to put mats all around the feeder here, which I think will help with this issue because it is the spot where they stand the most. So it is a little bit lower than the rest of the paddock. So of course, being a low spot, it holds the moisture a little bit more. But all things considered, this dry lot looks pretty darn good. So like I said, this is the one that we consider the most finished because it does have the crusher dust on top, but I will show you our other ones as well. So this is another one of the dry lots. So the left side of the paddock is all gravel. So this is just what we call pit run gravel. We haven't put the crusher dust on top of it yet, but it's withstood having horses in here all winter quite well. Again, we muck this several times a day to make sure we keep the manure out of it. And then the right side here is still the natural ground, if you will. So we haven't put any gravel over here yet, but with the drainage tile, with the drainage ditches, and the fact that we keep it nice and mucked, it's actually pretty dry considering the amount of rain and humidity that we've had. So we're pretty happy with that. There's a couple little slick spots, but really not too bad. Their favorite rolling spots, but overall it's really withstood the weather, and we're quite happy with that. Nice and dry for the ponies. And then our other lot is adjacent to it here. So same thing. One side is the natural ground that we haven't put any gravel down on yet. And then the other side is where we've graveled it. And again, this has withstood the winter and the spring really well. Again, this is kind of like the one little wet spot right there. And again, it's just generally where they kind of pee and poop the most, so it holds a little bit more moisture, but overall it stayed pretty dry. It doesn't get mucky. You know, there is always mud that they can roll in because they can dig up this stuff, but it has stayed really, really dry. So we're super happy with it. We do want to get crusher dust down on these 2 sides of the paddock so that they're nice and dry and they're kind of capped in a little bit better. And we may eventually look at putting gravel over here, but so far it's kind of withstood the weather quite nicely. So those are our dry lots. So like I said, we've done a lot of work with them. I can do a separate video on everything that we've put into the dry lots to make them this way. They've been great for our horses' health and well-being, and we've been really happy with how they turned out. Like I said, it's been a little bit of extra work to get them here, and we do have to muck them constantly to keep the organic material out of them, because that's probably one of the biggest contributing factors to having a mucky paddock is the manure that is left there. When the manure is left there, then it just holds moisture and creates more muck. So we clean these, like I said, 3 times a day ideally, and keep on top of it. And as you can see, they're pretty clean. There's really not a whole lot of manure in here. We'll clean them again at supper time. And yeah, so we're pretty happy with it. If you have any specific questions about the dry lots, why we have dry lots, how we made the dry lots, please feel free to ask. We don't mind sharing this information.